Start. And action.
Hey, I'm Frank Feeney. I'm originally from White Plains, New York. I came down to Fort Lauderdale in 1982 for a week. And I didn't get back to New York till 1993. But I got this job at Artstock Playpen. Wow, that's where I started. And then I ended up at Summers, and I worked at Summers on the beach probably for about 6-7 years. And then caught some really great bands there and stuff. What a great life. I didn't go to college, but I did go to 10 spring breaks, you know, and all those good things that Fort Lauderdale has given me. What an experience to work a spring break and work at the clubs, you know, work at the couple of clubs I worked at. And then I ended up at the world famous Parrot Lounge. I worked there for a couple of years, and for Tim Chavone, and that was a great experience too. Taught me a lot about life, you know, it did. Talking with Tim Chavone was a really good example in my life. And just being in Fort Lauderdale, you know, was just a great experience. Like I said, I went back in '93, and then I came back down here in 16, you know, and I came back to Fort Lauderdale. I fell and hit my head. I said, what am I doing here in White Plains? So I had to come back to Fort Lauderdale and ran into all these people like yourself, Dan, you know, and Rick, you know, Rick, who's going to be coming up here next, and just here tonight to see a lot of old friends and stuff. But thank you very much.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Okay.
You are incredible. All right, and action.
Go.
Good.
My name is Debbie Fermonte. I worked at the Button South for Crazy Greg. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. And I started when it was taken over, when Greg took it over from the Agora Ballroom, and stayed with them until the new owners came in, and then that was my party. That's it.
Did you see the screen moving?
That's okay.
That's okay?
That's okay.
Give me one Crazy Greg story, if you could.
My one Crazy Greg story is that he was probably the coolest boss I ever had in my life. Every Christmas, he used to buy us all brand new Button South satin jackets that were like the members only jacket. Every Wednesday, he took us to Bimini to go to the Complete Angler, and we'd go diving for lobsters and come home and cook them all. There are a lot of great stories about him. Great man.
Was the sound good on that?
Awesome.
Debbie, thank you.
Okay.
Joe Montague here, bartender from the Button on the Beach. Got to work with Crazy Greg and during the wonderful spring break in the late 70s, early 80s. And let me tell you, we had the best bartenders there and the best time. The patrons were the best.
The patients?
Patrons. I know I'm a chiropractor today, and down the street from the Button South where that was. So for me, I got to work both locations. I was very fortunate, and also lifeguard on Fort Lauderdale Beach during that spring break. So back then, I don't have to tell you, it was skin to win, and just a blast from the past. Great to see Rick and all the great guys out here. Special call out to Dan, who did such a fantastic job with his book. And that's what I got. Thanks for letting me talk to you guys.
Hi, I'm Faye Andreessen, and I'm from Montreal. In 1985, myself and 13 girls took a flight down to Fort Lauderdale for spring break, and we ended up at the Button, where I walked to the back bar and met this boy right here, and 38 years later, we got married.
Oh, that's great. Well, I am Rick Andreessen. I worked at the Button for 11 years, from 1978 to 1980, I guess, and 89, I'm sorry, yeah. It was a little blurry, but yeah, one of the best things came out of Button, my beautiful bride, Faye. And I think the best thing I remember is certainly the camaraderie of the guys that worked there. You know, it was just a great team. Crazy Greg, he knew how to pick just great people that worked there. And but most of all, my memory would be Crazy Greg, and he was a genuine human being. His name was Crazy, and but he was a genuine human being. He was great to us guys as staff, and just, you know, we're grateful to be here tonight, and just honored to be part of this video.
Perfect. You got it?
How you doing? I'm Bob Pavkovich. I worked as a lifeguard in Fort Lauderdale. At 78 to 80, worked the Button the same amount of time. Crazy Greg and I went to Bimini in his boat with Larry Schessler, a whole crew of lifeguards. We hung out at I'm trying to think of the name, in the End of the World Saloon in Bimini. We brought over chicken and came back with Bimini bread and Beck beers. I'll never forget Greg. He was a great guy, very personable. I got a picture I got to give to you, Dan, of me going off the cement barge in Bimini. And Greg took the picture, so it's cool. But hey, I'm glad to be here, and God bless you, Greg.
Okay.
Peas and carrots.
Hold that up. And how did you get that?
You're
gonna have to hold that in front of your face. So.
I was a mystery bartender at the Elbow Room on my 30th birthday, and that's how I got that. But I'll never forget the button. Always a great place. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Dan.
Stand by. And hold on one second. Okay, and we are rolling. Hi, my name is Scott Grosky, and I worked on the Lauderdale Beach for many, many years, starting in the early 80s, actually late 70s, but as far as in the entertainment business and so forth in the early 80s. Anyways, I eventually, at one point, I ended up as one of the security guards, they used to call them, bouncers at the Agora Ballroom, which preceded the Button South. I then became one of the security people, security manager, and then one of the night managers at the Button South, and worked for Greg for many years, approximately 5 years. I've got some great memories of Greg, and one of my favorite ones is as follows. I was contemplating getting out of the business, and somebody had approached me about getting into the boat business, and everybody that knows Greg knows that he was an avid boater and spent a lot of time on the water. So I asked him his opinion, and he said, hey, look, when you became a bar manager, it wasn't long before you became a really, really great bar manager, one of the best in the business, and I have no doubt that if you choose to go into the boat business, you'll eventually become really, really one of the greatest. And it was just a super cool vote of confidence and that I really enjoyed. Some months went on, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and leave the bar business and staying up all night with all the crazy people, which I totally miss and super excited to see. But I said, hey, Greg, I made my decision. And he asked me to go see who we call G7D, which is Gary Downs. His signature looked like a G, a 7, and a D, so we called him G7D. He's got something for you. What I didn't know was that Crazy Greg had selected a few of his key employees and was setting aside retirement money unbeknownst to any of us. So I went and saw Gary, and Gary disclosed this to me, and it still gets me every time I think about it. He was just a great guy, and I miss him terrifically. Thank you.
Excellent. What about your shirt? So talk a little bit more.
This is my remake of a staff shirt, Button South staff shirt. A little bit more about my history on Lauderdale Beach.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I worked, initially I was working security for a marketing company that was traveling around doing sampling projects for two really new products, one called Bud Light and one called Miller Lite. And we would go from hotel to hotel, and we had concerts, and we would give out to the college kids beer sampling. And that was quite fun. Jan and Dean was our prime act, so we had to act as security for them and also for the beer, so it didn't just disappear. I eventually got a job working as a valet attendant and ultimately a bellhop and a room service waiter along Lauderdale Beach in the different hotels, and I got to know a lot of the guys from the Button from my time on Lauderdale Beach. So when Crazy Greg started visiting the Agora Ballroom, kind of pre-purchase, I recognized and knew a whole bunch of the guys, so you know, it was kind of a natural fit in the transition. So they kept me and a couple of other people, most notably the cocktail waitresses,
Yep.
and kind of cleaned house after that.
Excellent. You got it? Got it.
My name is Bobby Stotler. I was born in Fort Lauderdale at Holy Cross Hospital, commercial and federal. Grew up in Miami, moved to Fort Lauderdale. First job was Bill's Sunrise Boat Rental on Fort Lauderdale Beach, right behind the Holiday Inn where the Button and C.W. Dandies were. Great fun, great times, great childhood. I worked mostly at CW Dandy's upstairs. Occasionally would fill in at the button downstairs and help out. And with the greatest group of guys in the world, made fast friends with everybody there. We would go water skiing with one of the boat rental boats every week. And in between that, they would go with the Sonic that Crazy Greg had over to the Bahamas. And I don't have any better memories. I moved on to big yachts and sailing as a deckhand and a captain, and then now I'm a brokerage and sell them, but I don't have any better memories than the childhood experiences at the Button and with those great guys on the beach.
Okay, that's great.
That's it.
That's great. He'll take it off of you. Scott Grosky is in there.
Yeah, I know.
So hi, my name's Craig Savage. I came from upstate New York, drove down here a car with no reverse, windshield wiper, $600 to my name, didn't know anybody in Florida, ended up on the Fort Lauderdale beach, got a room in the candy store for a month, and needed a job bad, went down to the Button, got a doorman job, was there doing that for about a month or two. And well, when I went to go get that job, I got introduced to Crazy Greg. And they brought me upstairs. He put out a map. He said, "Where are you from, kid?" I said, "I'm from upstate New York." I showed him where. He goes, "Show me where." And I showed him, and he put a pin there. And he said, "Tell me about yourself." I told him I was born and raised on a dairy farm. I got 15 brothers and sisters, adopted. All the other children are adopted. I'm my mom and dad's baby. My brother's autistic. And he said, "Okay." He goes, "Can you be here tonight?" And I was down to my last dime. And I said, "I sure can." And I showed up that night as a doorman. I was there a couple weeks, and then he made me a bar back. And then I moved in with Wesley. Everybody knows Wesley, the world famous Wesley. Wesley and Pete Van Dingstein, him and I, the three of us, they adopted me. All three of us went down, and we opened up the Button South. And I started down there as a bar back. I was there a few months or so, and I covered for a guy that didn't show up, and they said, "Who ran that register?" And they said, "Craig did." They said, "Who bar back?" They said, "Craig did." And they said, "Okay." And the following week I had a full schedule, and the rest is history. You know what I mean? Crazy Greg was so good to all of us, Wes and all of them. They adopted us all. We all come from different places. Some are all local boys, but an incredible brotherhood, just an incredible brotherhood. So that's what I got.
Okay. Jim Marcy, got down here from Washington, D.C. I think I was 19 years old. This was 1983. Didn't have a job. I started going to the Art Institute. I applied at McDonald's because I was flat broke and I didn't get a job at McDonald's. I went to Penrod's and worked there for 2 days. After 2 days at Penrod's, I went to the Button one day. I asked one of the managers if they had any openings. They took me back in the office. I met Crazy Greg. He stood up and said, "Where are you from?" I said, "DC." And he goes, I need a bar back. You can start tomorrow." That was it. The rest is history. He became like a second father to me. And I think he became like a second father to all of us. And so this is like a brotherhood. This is like a family reunion to me. So very cool.
Very good. That's it. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I can start over. My name is Paul Braid. I came down from Ball State on spring break. My brother was bartending at the Button on the beach, and he introduced me to Crazy Greg, and we must have hit it off or something. He offered me a job right then, and that summer when I finished school, I came down and I started bartending right away. That was back in 1983. After that, I worked for Crazy for all the way until 1989. After 83, I went to the Button South. It was great. It was great. The Button South was a great time. And like everybody else says, it's a camaraderie. It was a brotherhood. We all came from a different place, but it was a melting pot. And I didn't ever see anyone fight amongst ourselves. And that's kind of unique in a job situation. Bimini trips were great. It was a good time. It was good memories. We all, thank Crazy Greg, we all made a lot of money. Back in the day when you're 20 years old, making a lot of money was very grateful and very humble too. And I think we would not be here today without Crazy Greg. So that's all I got.
That's it.
So
That's it. Go.
Hey, my name's Tom Morse. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. Brothers all worked on the beach. My brothers were lifeguards, and they were much older than me. They also worked all the beach bars and everything. So when I got out of college in '82, I thought I was going to set the world on fire with my 4-year degree. And of course, I couldn't find a job. So my brothers were saying, well, you know, just go work on the beach. So, you know, it was real competitive back then. A lot of people wanted to work for Crazy Greg because he had such a great reputation. So I had to figure out a way to impress Greg in order for me to get the job. So what I did was I put on a coat and tie, black tie, white shirt with a collar and everything, and a pair of baggies and flip-flops. Where I had my college rings on, walked in there and I handed him a resume like a real job interview. And he starts laughing and I'm like, you know, I'm here, man, hire me. You know, and I got the baggies, they're super tight because I knew he was like into boys and stuff. So I made sure they were extra tight on my ass. And the rest is history. I worked there Spring Break '83 and Spring Break '84. And that's what I did. Good old Crazy.
Hang on 1 second. I want to get a close up of your shot, your shirt.
My name is?
My name's Steve Trotter. I got down here in 1981, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Started a busboy job at Patricia Murphy's at Bahia Mar. You know, after a while I was going to the Button on the beach, and I'm like, man, I could love to work here. My cousin's like, go apply to Crazy Greg. You gotta go into his office and apply. So one day I went in there and I said, hey, I had my board shorts on, just went in there. Hey, man, can I start as a bar back? Do you need a bar back? He's like, not right now, but come back in a week. I came back in a week, he goes, you're hired. And it was spring break, my first spring break, 1981. Since then, he was like my father. The guy took me.
He also lived on his cigarette boat for over.
I lived on his boat. He let me live on his boat. He'd come to his boat when I'd be asleep. He'd go, Steve Trotter, wake up! We're taking out your house. He'd take it to Bimini. I'd go over to Bimini with him so much. That's why I got skin cancer all over my back.
That's all
But,
right. We don't want to get in that.
We had a blast. We had a blast for years and years. He was the best of the best of the best, like my second father. You know, he's real good to me. Yeah.
Dan Trotter, '83, came down all because of Steve. Got me in at the Button on the Beach. I was there for probably 6 months, and then Button South opened up, and then I was down there for years. And then it was just awesome. Crazy Greg totally just took us on, and he Crazy Greg, like brothers, the Embers brothers are the legends of the whole a Button thing. And then the Trotter brothers, we came in after all that, but you know, it was just a phenomenal time, and it's just like
it was a blast.
Tonight, we see it tonight.
Best times of my life.
And what are you guys notorious for?
Not
Besides
much.
sexual, what are you guys notorious
He's
for?
been over Niagara Falls twice in a barrel. He swung off the Golden Gate Bridge, Tampa Skyway 3 times, Mount Hope Bridge once, Newport
George
Bridge once,
Washington.
and we did the George Washington in Manhattan together.
And how did Crazy Greg like that?
He loved that.
Loved
He
it.
loved it. On the Tonight Show, he played it at the Button South. He played it every once in a while. It was on a VHS.
They shut it down. They shut the music down on a Friday night. I was working. He was obviously on the show. And the whole music system was on Johnny Carson at 11:30 at night on a Friday night.
And they
at
put
the
it
Button
on.
South. Yeah.
Found with there with Gary Busey and Roseanne Barr.
Yep.
What a time.
Hard to believe that there was somebody crazy and a great Gary Busey on that show.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys very much.
Hey, my name is Steve Stansel. So the very first time I got hired here in 1984 was at K102. I got hired to do nights. I was a disc jockey, radio personality. I worked there for about a week, and my boss came to me and said, "Hey, man, I got a job for you this Sunday, but it's a really tough job. You know, you're our first choice for it, but you know, they're going to pay you $200 to go down and make an appearance at Summers on the Beach." And I said, well, what do I got to do? He said, well, you got to be the water pourer in the wet t-shirt contest. And I said, wow, okay, I guess I could do that. I guess I could hang out with y'all for a little while. So I did that, and I did a lot of events at Summers on the Beach. But while I was at K102, I also got called by the Button South, the staff at Button South, Crazy Greg, all the guys, asked me if I was interested in being a disc jockey at Button South on the weekends, just doing some moonlighting on the weekends. And I said, well, yeah, that'd be fun, you know. So like the first or second week I was there, my wife comes, who is my wife now, she comes walking up to the DJ booth to request a song, and I'll still never forget the dress she was wearing and never forget how beautiful she was. And to this day, we're still together. 3 kids later, grandkids later, we're still together. So I met my wife there at the Button South. So that's what that place meant to me. Crazy Greg was the craziest guy that we ever worked for. He used to take us over to Bimini, to the Bahamas, and stay at the Complete Angler. And the one time we went there, they had this little band playing in this little bar there at the Complete Angler, and it was like this little Junkanoo band. And we got up and we were all, you know, pounding them down and having a good time, and got up and played Honky Tonk Women. And I'll never forget, I was playing drums on this guy's little Junkanoo drum kit, and I destroyed them. Honky Tonk Women, just pounding. It was so much fun. My gosh, we had so many great memories with Crazy Greg and those Button South guys. Everybody that worked there was so cool. And Crazy always had a thing with, he wanted guys that had no facial hair, because the pretty boys would attract the pretty girls, and the pretty girls would attract the pretty boys. So it was a formula that worked, and that was what was amazing about that place. And we were there so many nights, so many stories. If those walls could talk, it would be incredible.
What else can you say about working at Summers or Penrod's or anywhere else?
And Susan and Alan at Summers, they were so great. I did so many events there. You know, we did concerts. I used to get up and introduce bands and concerts there. So many great memories there. Just a great, great venue on the beach. And we miss it, you know. We miss Summers, but we miss the Button South and Summers on the beach. All those great spring break clubs from the 80s, you know. It was so cool. Really cool.
We're done.
All right.
All right. Hey, my name's Billy Womack from Dallas, Texas. Heard this Button South thing was going on. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. You know, it's 37, 38 years ago. It seems like it was a blur, but it was actually yesterday. I remember working for Joe Flanagan down on 163rd Street at the Mardi Gras. Peter Van Dingstein and Crazy Greg used to come in there, and they used to watch me work behind the bar. On my way home to Hollywood, Florida, I'd stop in at the Button South, get a beverage, watch the bands play. Crazy comes up and sees me some night, and he says, "Hey, Billy, I was wondering if he's interested in a position here at the Button South." I'm like, "Hey, Crazy, you been drinking a lot of whiskey tonight?" "No, I'm drinking, but I'm asking you if you'd be interested in a job." I said, "I thought you had to die and get a job here willed to you." He says, "No, I got an opening behind my bar." And I said, "Wow, Crazy, will you give me maybe a day to think on this?" He says, "I'll tell you what, Billy, I'll give you 5 minutes to think on it." I go, "Well, Crazy, if I decide to take this job, will I get one of those cool Button South staff jackets that all those people are wearing?" He says, "Billy, I give one of those away every Christmas." I said, "You know what, Crazy? Crazy, thank you very much. I'll take the job." He says, "Go tell Joe Flanagan, put your 2-week notice in." Remember it like it was yesterday. I can't find my phone, can't find my keys. Hey, I can't even remember what I had for lunch yesterday. But I remember Crazy Greg asking me for the job, and I joined the family of the Button South right there, man. Memories that I wouldn't trade for the world, man. All the people there, all the times we spent. We had golf events. We had parties at TY Park, Stranger, Bobby Frisk Band. It was just one night of endless fun. It was something I wouldn't trade for the whole world, man. Tell you what, Crazy, I hope you're smiling down on us and looking at us all here tonight. Probably one of the best bosses I've ever had in my life. Crazy Greg Newell, you're the man.
There you go.
This is the story of the Playgirl.
Yeah.
Okay.
My name's Rod Losciavo. I go by Rod Lowe. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I was born and raised here. I became a lifeguard in Fort Lauderdale Beach first summer of college, 1978. A lot of the lifeguards ended up working at the Button on the beach. So I ended up interviewing, got a job with Crazy Greg. I was working 6 days a week on the beach and 3 or 4 nights. So I was going to say that should keep you out of trouble, but not if you're working at the Button. It was really a fraternity that masqueraded as a bar, might be a good way to describe it. It was really a great group of people. Crazy Greg, I guess, had this knack for picking fun people, and we all got along. And I was there for three summers when I came home from school every year. Crazy Greg, even though the summers were slow, he'd hire me. And we'd go over to the Bahamas, and we'd have parties every single night, and it was just insane fun. We'd go on water skiing one day, and we'd go clamming the next, and then we're parasailing the next day, and then we're going to the Bahamas. So it was like nonstop stuff to do. Crazy Greg was really great. Because of him, I was able to put myself through college and still had a blast. And it's probably the funnest time of my life.
You and one other guy had something in common from the button. What was that?
We got laid a lot.
You and Bo Collier had something in common at the button.
Bo Collier?
Bo Collier was in Playgirl.
Oh. I don't read it too often.
No, but you didn't know that? You
No,
know
I
that Bo
didn't know
Collier
that.
from the 70s was in Playgirl?
No.
He was Mr. Florida.
I just did a bun shot, though.
Okay, that's fine. Great, Rod. That's great. You know that?
Playgirl came into the button one night, and they said they were set up at another bar, and they were looking for people to pose for the magazine. So they asked if they could do it at the button, and I said, yeah, sure. It was, an okay night. We had some people there, and she says, yeah, you're kind of what we're looking for. And I said, no, don't worry about it. I said you could do it. She goes, no, really. And so these guys are all crazy at the button. They were trying to convince me to do it. And so I called my parents and said, what do you think about me posing in Playgirl? And they're both, oh, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, okay. And so I thought, well, maybe if I do a bun shot, I could get away with that. So that's what I ended up doing. Strangely enough, though, they kept reprinting it. I was like Best Buns of Florida one time, and then a few years later, they printed it again. And then one time they printed it, and I was dating this girl, and she picked up a Playgirl, and she took it to the hospital. Her friend was in the hospital, and so they're thumbing through it, and I said, isn't this your boyfriend? It's like, oh, shit. So now I'm working for like a big multinational company, and I'm in Playgirl again. Wasn't really cool. But so I said, man, I hope my boss doesn't find out. I could maybe get fired. So we end up breaking up. She was crazy, and she takes a picture and sends it to my boss. So I don't do any more posing.
Did you get fired?
No. He came. I was working late one night. He comes back to the copier, and he throws a picture down on the copier, and I'm like, shit, that bitch. And he says, that's you? He said, I just thought it looked like you. And I'm like, oh, God. So,
you got to show us your buns now. Are you buns now? No? No buns?
Nope. No more buns now. I'm done.
All right, let's.
All right, well, my name is Mike Pine. I started working at the Button in 1980. I kind of got the job in a strange way. I was actually at a party with a friend, and this guy ended up working at the Button, and I was looking for something to do. He said, go down and talk to Crazy Greg. I did, and as they say, the rest is history. It was really one of the most eventful places that I've ever worked. There we had so many different parties, so many different stories about women and the friendships that you had with the different guys there. I probably went to Bimini in the Bahamas at least 20 or 30 times. That was one of the things that we did with Crazy Greg, because he had what was the kind of boat? A cigar boat, all right? And we used to go there frequently, and they had a place called the Complete Angler over in the Bahamas, and we used to do that quite a bit. And it was just so many different trips. So it's not as if you were just there working in a bar. You were celebrating, time away with your friends, whether it was in the Bahamas, whether it was in the Keys, no matter what you were doing. So it was a great place to work, but it was a great place to work because of all the people that were there and the camaraderie and the friendship that you made while you were there. Good?
Perfect.
All right.
That's fine.